There's a couple guys making some good videos as well, which I'm glad to see. But so this is a basic swapping guide. I've got to have one, that I wanted to share with people. And this is going to be in my first mod section of my GitHub, just because it's one of the first things you want to do to get a handle on how to do mod in the game, right? So this is swapping. So I wrote the guide, and I'm kind of just going to read through the guide and then just go through it as if I'm following the guide is the goal. So the objective, basically, to guide people on how to use the swapping technique with modding. It's a little bit more involved than in T7, but it's also very, very simple as well once you get everything up and running. That brings me to prereqs. So you need to make sure you have your UE5 custom build set up. You want to make sure you have F model set up. You want to make sure you have Tekken 8 on the PC, and you want to have Konji's Tekken project. Now, if you're on my GitHub, there's a startup guide that I have that should get you everything that you need to have to get started. Setting up the UE engine, it takes the longest. That's where a lot of people run into issues with just getting it done. It takes a decent amount of time. I've got a video also on my front page you can watch to see. And then if you're running into issues, feel free to stop by the Modding Zaibatsu Discord to ask the guys there for help. And get you through. But once you get past that, then it's time to come back here and take a look at this project for your first swap. So before I wanted to get too far into it, I want to give some explanation about like the assets that we're working with. In Unreal Engine, all the things in there are assets. No matter what they are, they're going to be called a U asset. But the way they define what's in there is how they're named. That's how the devs have decided to do it, and a lot of other games do it as well. So I want to go over a couple of those real quick. So the item prefab, right? Or let's start with the customized set, right? So I'm saying there's a hierarchy of assets and how they get loaded. And so basically, if we look at the customized set in game, what the player is going to see is going to be those like 4 preset outfits that you can't change, that are loaded when you pick the character. You can't see them in customization. I mean, they might be in customization, but you can't actually see the preset in the customization mode. They just are the way they are, right? If you wanted to make a mod where you change that, then we can go over that process. But that's the top, what I would consider the top loading thing, right? There's really nothing higher when it comes to a character. Like, that's the top. Below that is going to be the item prefabs. And within this CS item, the customized set item, they will include these item prefab assets, right? And these are going to be more directions to the game to load specific things. So as I say here, these are for different categories. So in your CS item, you'll have let's say like a item prefab for the head, the lower body, or a full body. And we can take a quick look here in F model to see what that looks like, right? So if I go into F model and I've got it loaded up, I'm going to go into content, character, item, and let's take a look at the customized set. And we'll just grab anybody. I'm dealing with Lydia a lot, so let's open her. She's CBR. And just pick one of these, right? Here's all 4. We got president outfit. And so all we have in here is we have 3 IP assets, right? This is for her hair, this is for her face, and this is for her full body, right? And this one, same thing, except in this case we have her face, we have her hair, we have a head item, right, that she's wearing, I think the little like band on her head or whatever, and then her full body. Here, pretty much the same thing, and then here. Oh, that's the one we already did. And then here's the same thing, essentially, like we've got the head item, we've got this. And depending on the character, you might have more items than others, like Zafina. Let's take a look at her real quick. So she's got a couple more. She's got her full body here, she got her face, she got her hair, and then she has some extra items that she's dealing with, which I think are like her hands, or like her Azazel hands and such. But that's all this is. This is a customized set item, and it leads the game to these different IPs, these item prefab items. Alright, so the item prefab item is going to be made up of 3 basic assets, right? All of the IPs have at least these 3 assets in it. So if I go back to the example of Lydia, right, and you can follow the path, and that's kind of the way the game works. It follows the path. It says, oh, I'm going to load customized set CR, whatever, or in this case, we'll just do like 1P. So her default one. So it opens it up and it says, okay, you want me to go ahead and load these different IPs, right? I'm like, all right, cool. And so it follows the path to the IP. And so let's say we're looking at the BDF, which is for body full, so full body. Click on it. go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Zoom. And I'm like, okay, cool. So now what you want me to do? Oh, we're going to open up a base item, a base character item, and a customized item, right? So what these are very simple. The base character item is probably one of the simplest in there. It's, if we open it up, it usually just has like a fighter ID, and I don't even think you even need, I don't even know what this is used for. I've added it in there, and I've also not added it in there, and it's worked perfectly fine. In some cases, in some of the items, there will be some data in here, but a lot of the cases there's not. If there is data, it's usually, I believe, data that helps to like fit upper bodies to lower bodies and things of that nature. But for most cases, there's nothing really in here. We still need it, but we, for whatever reason, but there's nothing really in there. So that's the easiest one to have. The next item that's really important is your base item. This is probably your most important item to have when you're doing a swap, an asset reference. This doesn't have a lot in it, and we don't really need to do a lot of, to take a look at this stuff, but later on I'm going to do a guide that we are going to have to do pay attention more to this stuff, but there's not much in here either, right? We have the item ID. This tells the game where to position it, whether it's an upper body, a head item, a foot item, etc. And then it's going to say what skeletal meshes to load. For this one, we've got a MSL and a PRP, right? And these are pretty much identical meshes, except they have different armatures or rigs that they're attached to with different weights. Basically, the MSL is the one that controls all your motion and your moves, your animations, and all that things. And the PRP is it's a proportional rig. So basically, it does what it says it does. It moves a base mesh essentially and fits it to whatever, in this case, Lydia's specific character attributes are, right? Her height, her width, all that different things like that, right? And I'll go a little bit more into about these two, but just know that they're in here for right now. And then we have the DYB thing. This is just giving them a little bit of jiggle. They have the least amount of jiggle on all the Tekkens as far as I'm aware of, but you know, that's what that is. And then this is some catwalk cloth collision stuff, whatever. But basically the only things that we're really gonna look at in most cases are this section right here. There's also a common item section that's not listed because it's not used in this particular BI, but we'll go over that in just a moment, a little bit later. But that's what the BI looks like. The last one is the customized item asset, and these are the ones that are the most intimidating. I created a tool to help make it way less intimidating, but this is for colorization and all those different things. So if we look at it, just so it's not left out, we can see it here, and it's got a crap ton of stuff in it. Like blah, look, these are a whole bunch of stuff in here. So for the sake of this, we're not going to go through this. We don't need to. We're just going to do a swap. Basically, a swap is going to be in this example. We're going to take something that's in the game already set up and used, and we're going to move it to a different character. That's the goal, right? So there's a brief explanation. You can go back and reference these if you want to. And then also, it's important to note that when I say that we're referencing something, that's really all that it is, right? When I say we're referencing different things, these are just file paths, right? This asset is super, not this one, but like this one's super teeny tiny, right? It's a very teeny tiny asset, and all it has is directions to go here. And that's what we're doing with the swaps. We're just changing the directions, right? And so for an example, I have like an example thing that I made up, right? We've got these paths, right? So in this fake CS model, asset that I made, we've got a face item, a hair item, and a BDF item, and these are the paths that will be in there. And I'll open up Unreal in just a moment and give you an idea of what these are when we get a little bit further. And then this setup of 3 items is going to be in every single IP. Every single IP for every character is going to be using these 3 items. Now we can mix and match and do a bunch of different things, but for now we're not messing with that. But yeah, it's important to know that you need to have those 3 items. It's also a good idea to understand how this process works so that you're not building too much. I've seen people try to make a mod and they'll do this IP, they'll make the BI, the BCI, and the CI, and all they want is a swap mod, and then they'll include it in the mod, and then they try to build the BI and they build the customized item. And I was like, you don't need to do any of that. if you're just doing a swap and a reference, right? Um, for other mods that are a little bit more in detail, you may have to build a new base item mod, and in some cases your own customized item asset as well. But for a basic swap, you don't. So I would suggest doing them without that first, and then exploring when you get bored of that. All right. Also, it's important to note that spelling and misspelling and how your folders are structured is super important, because the game is going to be looking for things and it's not going to be able to find them. Now, asset directories, this is where those assets are located that we'll need to use or reference or create. So it's in content, character, item, and then all four of these folders are going to be in this section. So here's just a quick example setup. I'm going to kind of run through. You can come back and read it if you want to. But basically, it's a CS item, right? And what I wanted to do is take this imaginary Bob's in-game set. I wanted to change it so it has Tim's outfit with hair, glasses, items loaded. So I created a CS for Bob to match what's in the game, and then I recreated ones that are in the game, but they're for each of these different items. So I'm going to keep his face, but I want Tim's hair, I want Tim's items, and I want these common glasses, right? So I'm going to create all four of these different things, and then I'm going to load these into the CS, right? I'm going to put them in their slots. But when I make the mod, the only thing that I'm going to actually package and get out is this. I do not want these, because this is going to include all the reference information as to where the game can go load these that are already in the game. And so this is all that I want. If I include all of these in here and I haven't filled them out and done them correctly, then it's going to be empty. There's going to be stuff missing because I didn't fill any of it out, right? So we're not going to include these IPs. Similar situation when I'm just doing an IP. I just want the upper body to move over. So I find the IP in the game that I want it to everything to be on, and then I figure out what I wanted to swap out. And in this case, I wanted just the upper body for Tim, like a default or something, and that's going to now be on Bob. So same process. The unique MSL and MSL plus PRP. If you're hanging out in the Discord, you're going to hear people talk about MSL only and MSL plus PRP. I'm hopefully I would like people to stop mentioning MSL only and MSL plus PRP, because it's a pain in the ass to write when we're typing and doing stuff. I'm going to refer to them, me personally, as unique mesh and common mesh. And this is a brief explanation as how they work. Basically, your MSL only is unique to a specific character, and it's just built that way. It's not going to change. It's just set to that character. For the common ones, they all use either a male or a female base body, and then the PRP gives the game instructions on how to transform that body to match the character specific proportions, right? So your MSL only in game and your MSL plus PRP common mesh in game are going to look mostly the same, right? It's like 99% the same. Some of them will look a little bit weird. I know we were joking as modders when we first saw Fang, because Fang's head looks huge on his like common items, because it's a common body and they just are not as built as Fang's body. So, but they all match and it's all seamless, you know. So it is what it is. And then here's the tutorial with steps, and this is what I'm going to go ahead and just walk through and create. So this is using actual stuff, and we'll just go through it and see how it works, right? We'll see if I've given myself enough instructions to get the job done. All right, so the first thing I say I want to do is identify the name of the assets I want to swap. And so a lot of times we don't know what the name of the asset actually is. What it's listed as and labeled as in the game is not always exactly what it is in the game data, right? So what I always suggest is for people to go to fmodel and find their character. Now, if they don't know where their character is, you can check my GitHub. I've got a link here, and then we've got Tekken mods. Now, the Tekken mods one I think is fully up to date, so I would probably say go to this one. But in this case, I want Ling, so I know her abbreviation is RAT, R-A-T, and I'm going to be dealing with Lydia. And if I look down here, we got Lydia is CBR, right? So I'm going to go into fmodel, and I'm going to go to the location that I suggested, which is content UI wrap texture CUS for customized character item. So we'll go there real quick. Let me close these out. So if I go to the bottom of this UI folder, wrap texture, go down, and we're looking for this custom character item, right? And then I'm going to find whatever character it is. So CBR for Lydia, and these are all the textures for the items that are in there, right? So if I want to replace these or grab these or do whatever, this is where I can do it. And you don't have to go from character to character. Now I'm not gonna if you don't have the DLC, don't mess with the DLC, but I can't stop you, right? But if you want to move an item from one thing to another, it's the same process, right? Oh, look, it actually says Final Fantasy at the bottom. I didn't know. But in this case, what I want to do is I'm going to be using her 1P, right? So I'm looking for a 1P. So this is, or I think I'm using 1P version 2, right? So I want to replace this outfit, right? So I just grabbed the name of it and I copied it and I pasted it right here. Boop. Did the same thing for Phoenix dress. And in this example, I'm going to be moving the Phoenix dress from Ling over to Lydia, right? Okay. There might be an issue with skin color, but I'll test that. I'll check that out. And if there is, then I'll have to go back and add some more to the guide on how to address that. But let's see. So I want to create the references in UE5 now. So to do that, I'm going to find this stuff, right? Where is it? So if I go back up here, these are the places where I want to find these different items. So if I go into F model, and I'm not extracting or doing anything at this point, I'm just finding them so I get the naming right. And while that is doing that, I'm going to go ahead and turn on that. Okay, so that's going to load up in the background, but I'm going to go in here and I want to get this information, right? So let's see. And in this case, this is where it is, right? But I can go into here and I'm looking in, let's see, I need the IP for this. So I'm going to go into character, item, and I'm going to go to the item prefab folder. I'm going to go down to CBR. And these are the different like body categories, accessories, full body, body upper, bottom, face for the actual head, facial hair, glasses, regular hair, head items like hats and such. HEF is for head full, and then shoe for feet stuff. But I digress. So here we'll go to BDF. I'm looking for that 1PV2, and here it is. So I'm just going to grab this name right here. I'm just going to go ahead and copy it. I can go ahead and open like a notepad or something if I want to. If I just want to get the names all together, let me go ahead and put this here. And I'll just grab all the names of the pieces that I need, right? So I've got the IP for that, and then I want the Phoenix dress stuff for Ling. So I'm going to go in here. We're going to go to Rat. Where you at, Rat? Her BDF. We got Phoenix. No, and I do not want the IP for her. I need the base item and all that stuff. So we'll go base item, Rat, BDF. And in this case, I want the Phoenix dress. Sometimes they show up twice. I don't know why that is, but sometimes they do. It's fine. And I'm going to grab it. Now, the good thing about the way the devs have done anything, they all follow a pretty clear syntax, right? So I can go ahead and paste that here. So their syntax is asset type. So in this case, let's add a BCI, character name, character category, the name of whatever the asset is. And I don't even have to look up the other one to know what it is. So it would be a CI, rat, BDF, Phoenix. Oh, I got to spell it right. Now, oftentimes I'll still go and copy paste it just because, just to try to avoid human error as much as possible. But this syntax will carry through, and you can use this type of syntax when you're looking for and looking through different asset files to kind of get an idea of where things would be and what things actually are. But there's that. Let's see if this is loaded. Okay, so this is the Unreal Engine that's set up. Once you had it set up, I'm pretty sure at this point you should have already done like a quick a build for it. Um, I've seen people using like my folder name in some of their mods. You can make your own folder in the content for your own custom stuff if you want to. If you're building custom mesh items, you can make whatever name folder you want to. Put it wherever you want to as well, um, as long as it's within the content folder. But I digress. So let's go in and see if I have the folders that we need. And usually you won't have them, right? Because I don't think anyone has set up any of their projects to have every single folder in it. I might make something like that to make it available for people, but it's not really necessary. It's not super hard to make these, so let's go ahead and make them. So I've got an item folder, so that's good. And we're going to start with the IP, and I have an item prefab folder. And I also have one for CBR, which is Lydia and PDF. And I already have an asset that I made for this, but I'm going to go ahead and make a new one. So we've got here, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And I'm just going to right click and create an item prefab, and just boom, there it is. Now if I open it up, you'll see that it has a spot here for a base item, a base character item, and a customized item reference. So we need to go ahead and make those now. So now I'm going to leave this folder for right now. Let's go to base item. And I only have DER in here, which is for Asuka. I need to make one for Ling, which is Rat. So create that. Since I'm doing a BDF for a full body, I'll create that. And in here, I just need to create the base item. Now when you're doing swaps with in-game stuff, then you have to name them what they are in the game if you want the game to load them correctly. If you're dealing with custom stuff, you can name it whatever you want to. So, but we're not going to fill any of this stuff out here, right? See all this different stuff in here? We're not going to fill any of that out, right? Because we're just going to tell the game to go get the one that's already in the game, which is already filled out correctly. So we'll just go ahead and leave that like it is. What I like to do, because I'm lazy, is just copy this. And now I'll go to the next one, which was, let's say, the base character item. And see, do I have a folder for Ling? I don't see one. So I'm going to make a new folder. RIT. And we're going to make that. And if I wanted to see, just to verify, to just double check them doing it right, I'm like, okay, rat. Base item, rat BDF is where it's located. Cool. If I'm looking at base character item, I'd go in here. Like, okay, rat. Alright, BDF. Phoenix dress. Okay, we're all in the right place. So in this case, I'm in the base character item. Let's go ahead and make it. And I'm just going to change the name to BCI. There we go. And now I need a customized item. So do the same thing. Go into here. Go into new folder. Oops. I want to make it the same. Sometimes UE doesn't like to just switch things. Let's see if they'll just make it lowercase. Okay, it says there's already a folder that exists. So I'm going to hit rat, right? And now I can just call it rat. For whatever reason, I can't just make it lowercase if I mess it up. So if you need to rename it, but you need to use the same or similar case, just name it something else real quick and then name it back to what you need. Alright, so new folder, BDF, and in here we'll make the customized item, customize, and I'll hit C. Alright, so I'm going to hit save all these different items are going to get saved. Cool. And now I want to fill my IP, right? So let's go ahead and go back to the IP that we created for Lydia. Here, 1PV2, it's empty. We could do it a couple of ways. You can search for it here. I can type in there you go, Phoenix dress. I can just go to it like customize item, be like, oh, and look, you can't put it in the wrong place, it'll go red, so it goes here. Or I can go to the base character item, find the item, select it, and then use this arrow to just load it. So that's a good thing to know of the different ways that you can load these different items. Sometimes it's easier to do this method, um, whichever suits your fancy. Alright, so we'll just go ahead and save that. Good to go. Nice. So let's go back to the guide here. So if I go back to the guide, we created the references, we've got it in the right folders, we just set up the IP, right? We opened it up, we placed in the BI, BCI, and CI. Oh, and we can verify everything is looking good by going to that IP, opening it up, and if you hover over top of it, you'll see the reference that it's being sent to, right? Boop. Now it says game character, which is the same thing as content character, so don't get twisted by that. Game and content are essentially the same in this regard, so you don't have to create a Polaris or anything like that. Just make sure it's in your content folder, and you'll be good to go. So let's create our actual mod, right? So we can get it out of here. So in this case, I have my own folder where I do demos and different things like that. So I'm going to create a demo swaps, and this is so I know where I put different things at, right? So demo swaps, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to miscellaneous data asset. I'm going to search for primary asset label and select. Now I usually name these based on whatever chunk I am up to. So for me, I'm going to go in and check out my own mods real quick and figure out what number I'm at. So let's see, 7055 looks like my last one. So 7056. And then this name doesn't show up anywhere or anything. This is just for you and the editor, and to actually create your mod. We'll call this one Lydia swap Phoenix dress thing, whatever. Alright, so we're going to open this up. We're going to make sure our priority is set to 1 so that it overrides any of the game stuff. Our chunk ID, I'm going to name it the same thing as I named it out here, just so that's consistent. We're going to change our cook rule to always cook. Boom. Alright, now the next part, we are going to make an explicit asset, because in this case we only want one asset in our mod. If we had more going on, we could potentially use the load assets in my directory, or even the recursively, depending on what you're doing. I think I'm going to do a breakdown of how these different things function and when they should be best applied, but for now we're just going to use the explicit assets. And then the same process, I can search for Lydia's item, or I can go ahead and find it. So in this case, I'm going to go into character items, I'm going to go to the item prefab, and I'm going to grab this, and then I'm just going to select that. And that is it. That's all that I need there. So I'm going to hit save all, and I'm going to go ahead to Windows and package the project, and then it'll do its thing. It's just the default project main folder. It's where I do it. It'll create its own little path to where it goes. And that is it. Now, one of the things that you usually want to check, and what we'll probably run into with this particular mod, is things may or may not match up correctly, right? And you're going to be able to tell if they're going to match up correctly and do an easy swap is if your model that you're bringing to a different slot is based on a common design. Now, I'm thinking about it, and I'm pretty sure that this is not going to be that, but I can verify. And so I can verify by looking at the BI, or I can go find the mesh itself. But actually, you know what? I think I'm in luck. In this case, when I look here at the Phoenix dress, which is what I'm going to be moving over, I'm looking in the base item. It's got an MSL, it's got a muscle rig, and a proportional rig. So what that should mean is that whenever it loads on another character, then it will adjust to that character and be fine and match Lydia's head. Now, if it was going to be something different, so let's take a look. If I was going to grab, say, another Ling outfit, like I think these 1PPs are always MSL only. Yep. So this is a unique mesh. See, there's only a skeletal mesh set and no proportional one. So this one, I would probably have issues with like neck gap and things of that nature. I would also potentially have issues with skin color, um, not moving over. If we look at 1P version 1, that was a good one to swap. This one, regular 1P, is a good one to swap. This revision one, whatever this one is, this is like the fancy one or something. I don't know. This one would not swap easily. This one would. So you get an idea of how it's going to turn out and what you would need to do, or to know that you would need to do something different for the other ones. Now, if you don't mind a neck gap, or because sometimes they're not super noticeable, if you just want to play with the character on, just do a quick mod just to have it, then feel free to do so. You know, if you post it, people are going to complain about neck gap, but if you just want it for yourself, you just want to play around and add a bunch of different things, you can. But yeah, so that's it for a basic swap mod. We're gonna go and wait for it to finish doing its thing. It should take, it only takes about 6 or 7 minutes, I believe, to get done, and then we'll be good to go. If I wanted to make it a customized set item, right? Maybe I don't want to. Maybe I just want to have it a certain way, right? That I don't need to customize it or anything. Then I can go ahead and set up a CS, like a preset. But I'm not going to do that in this particular example. One of the things also to keep in mind is sometimes, and for a reason I don't fully understand, when we swap the customized item stuff, I've seen it where sometimes it works flawlessly and other times where certain colors don't work in the customization section. And there's ways to fix that, but it takes some time in some cases. So keep that in mind. That might be a thing that happens when you do your swap. Another thing is swapping between male and female is possible using the same process, but your results are going to look a bit crazy. The shoulder positions for the males are much wider than for females, and then vice versa. If you set a female to a male, the shoulders are going to be squished together, and of course the necks won't match. But you can do it if you want to. If you want to make some nightmare fuel, have at it. But let's go ahead and take a look. It said it was done. We got a little nice thing. It should say package completed. No matter what is in here, if it says package completed, you're pretty much good to go. So let's go ahead and grab the item. If you don't know where it's at, you can. I always suggest people to go like show and explore view. So you can show and explore view, and then go all the way back to the beginning of your project, and it's going to be in Windows. Polaris content packs, and this is where all of your cooked packs are going to end up. I have a shortcut because I'm not going to search it every single time, and I suggest everyone does the same, but do you. So we're going to copy all 3 of these, right? We're going to we're going to copy the pack, the UCAS, and the UTOC, and we're going to go ahead and put those into our mod folder. Now my mod folder is in this mods temp folder, because it was a temporary folder, but then it just became permanent, whatever. And I'm going to make a new folder in here for my mod. New folder, 7056, and I'll say Lydia, we'll call it demo, Lydia Phoenix dress, and then 1P V2. I like to try to name them so I have an idea of like what I'm changing. And then we just paste it in here. If I hold F2 while these are all selected, I can make a change to 1 that will apply to all of them if they all have the same name initially. So there we go, there's that. Let's go ahead and check it out and see if it works in game. Oh, I don't think I'm online. I don't. If you ever hit me up, if I'm online, just invite me to a match, because I don't like organized stuff. If you ever see me online and we're friends on Steam, just hit me up. Be like, come play. and I will come and play. But don't call me to come play for like 3 games. I better at least get a first to 5. You know what I mean? I need to set a modding status as well, because sometimes I'll pop on and off like 1,000 times as I'm testing mods. But here we go. So we're gonna go ahead and test it. My resolution is really low because I'm working off a laptop, and when I actually play, I gotta keep the settings at like bare minimum. Oh look, I got new stuff. What'd I get? Plushy snowman. Nice. Alright, so we'll go to character, we'll go to Lydia. And I don't think I have any mods already on for her. I'll find. I should have probably checked it out first, but we'll see. And my stuff runs slow because I've got all this. I got the stream going on. I've got Unreal Engine running. So we'll go to clothes, go to entire body, and I think this is the one I wanted to switch. There we go. And everything looks pretty solid. And we've got Lydia rocking some Phoenix attire, right? And let's see what all is changeable. So let's change that, make that black. What's this? Oh, is your gloves? Or what is changing? Is it okay, it's that. Alright, cool. And then we've got this. There we go. Give her some black leggings. What is this? Okay, it's her boot fur, which is just slightly black. Right. What is this? Oh, because it's actual boots. Alright. There's so many options to change. It is crazy. Oh, this is her bracelets. What's this thing? It's got something on the back somewhere. Oh, okay, it's her necklace piece. There we go. We got all 11. Very nice. So it looks like everything is working in this particular one. So that's pretty cool. What are feathers? I don't know. We haven't figured out why this pastel color thing keeps happening. Look at that. You just cannot. You cannot pick red for whatever reason. I don't know if it's the same in her original outfit, but yeah. Let's see. I think this was her legs. Yep. Boom. Now everyone will just see, you know, her Tekken 8 style, and then whatever slot colors match up accordingly is what she'll be dressed as. But yeah, so that's it. That's a swap. It's pretty easy to do. There's not really much to it. Now when you're doing the upper body to a lower body, like say you want this top here, or the actual top there, or you want a portion of this or something like that onto another piece, right? But it's only this, right? Like, what do you do then? So I think I might make a mod to show people how to set that up if that's something that they want to do. But the upper body is like, okay, cool. It's a cool jacket. Like maybe I want to be able to have this upper jacket, you know, and the Phoenix dress at the same time or something like that, which you can't do. But well, actually, you know what? I don't think there's anything stopping it. I could probably, and I could experiment with this real quick. So what I'm gonna do is see if I can take this Phoenix dress, right? Boop boop. And I want to put this Phoenix dress on a lower body. Now, but I'm gonna have to make a little bit of a change, I believe, to do that. Well, I'm not gonna do it on this video. I'll draw it all up and I'll write it out so that people can follow along. But for the sake of this video, it's done. Like, we've got it. It works. I don't want to ramble on too long and make the video super long, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. If you got any issues, hit me up on Discord and whatnot. But I'll go ahead and link this stream to the GitHub and vice versa in a little bit. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got for today's demo. And I have no catch yet.